Hello guys and welcome to my channel Departure from the Usual. So today's shout out goes to Shiny Huna. If you guys also want a shout out, then don't forget to like my video, comment down below and subscribe my channel as well. So let's move on to today's story. Today I'm going to be talking about Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer. So why he is called the dating game killer, I'll tell you later. Guys, Rodney is one of the deadliest serial killers in the American history. The specifics of Rodney's childhood are unknown. He was born in 1943 in Texas. When he was very young, the family moved to Mexico. When Rodney was 11 years old, his father abandoned the family and his mother moved the family to Los Angeles. At 17 years old, Rodney enlisted in the army and performed the services of a clerk for 4 years. During his time in the army, Rodney had been accused of sexual misconduct. He was examined by a military psychologist who diagnosed him with an antisocial personality disorder, and he was discharged on medical grounds. Let's talk about Rodney's first victim. The first known crime committed by Rodney occurred in 1968 in Hollywood, California. Tali Shapiro, an 8-year-old girl, was walking to school when Rodney spotted her and lured her into his car. Once she got in his car, he took her to his apartment. Thankfully, someone saw her get into the car and became concerned that the car had no license plates. The witness followed the car and called the police to give them the location. When the police arrived, they were horrified. Rodney was still at the apartment when the officers knocked on the door. Rodney stalled, but the officers kicked in the door. They saw Tali lying naked in a pool of blood. Rodney had raped and beaten Tali with a metal bar. He escaped out the back door, but thankfully Tali recovered from her attack and she doesn't remember the actual attack as well, which is a great thing, and she became the only victim of Rodney to survive. But because Rodney escaped, Tali's family were afraid he would come back, so they moved out of the country. After the attack of Tali, Rodney was put on the FBI's most wanted list. And unknown to the authorities, Rodney left California for the East Coast and changed his name to John Berger. Guys, it was much easier to do something like this in the 70s as background checks were limited. Rodney was able to live as John Berger for years. As John Berger, Rodney went to New York University Film School and studied there. And it was Manhattan that he committed his first known murder. In 1971, Cornelia Crilly was found in her apartment, strangled to death. This case would go unsolved for almost 40 years. A fingerprint found at the scene was positively matched to Rodney in 2010. After he murdered Crilly, he moved to New Hampshire and began working as a counselor at a summer camp. 3 years after he attacked Tali, someone recognized him. 2 of the girls at the camp saw the FBI wanted poster at the post office and turned Rodney in. He was arrested and sent back to California. Rodney would now be prosecuted for the attack of Tali. The prosecution was at a disadvantage because Tali's family had moved to Mexico and Tali's parents refused to allow their daughter to testify. Without her, the prosecution was finding it difficult to get him convicted of the attempted murder. Rodney pleaded guilty to assault and served just under 2 years before he was paroled. 2 months after his release, Rodney raped a 13-year-old on her way to school. He was caught and sent back to prison for another 2 years when he was paroled again. Rodney worked for a time at the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter and claimed to be a photographer. He used his photography business to lure victims back to his home to model for him. He took thousands of pictures, many nudes, all of women and teen boys and girls. In 1978, Rodney appeared on the television show The Dating Game. He already had a record of rape and assault right there in California. So it is astounding to think they put him on the show. He was quite charming though, and no one ever checked his background. And he actually won the game too. So in the game, the bachelorette was Cheryl Bradshaw, and though he won her over while they were on camera, she never actually went out with him. Once the cameras were off, his true personality showed. When Cheryl spoke with him backstage, she found him creepy and refused to go on the date. Guys, now I'll show you the actual footage of that dating game show, where Cheryl was talking to Rodney and chose him as her date.
Hollywood, the dating capital of the world. It's The Dating Game. Here's the star of our show, your host, Jim Lyons.
Hey! Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And welcome to The Dating Game. And we'll get right underway. It's time to meet our first 3 eligible bachelors for game number 1. And here they are. Good luck, gentlemen. Well, let's see. Bachelor number 1 is a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the dark room at the age of 13, fully developed. Between takes, he might find him skydiving or motorcycling. Please welcome Rodney Alcala. Rod, welcome. And it's time to meet our young lady for game number 1, and here she is. Here is a young lady with a wealth of experience. She once earned a living massaging feet, but she quit when her boss suggested that she work her way up. Then she taught school in Phoenix, Arizona, and now she's here to educate our 3 bachelors in the art of amour. Welcome, if you will, sensational Cheryl Bradshaw. Hello, Cheryl. Don't sit down yet. Just a minute. Want to make sure everything is straight. You relaxed? You feel okay? All right. You know there are 3 bachelors over there. There'll be 1, 2, and 3. Ask them anything you like to find out more about them, except their name, age, occupation, or income, okay? And we're going to start by having them say hello to you and see how they sound. Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please?
We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
Okay. And here we go.
Bachelor number 1,
Yes.
what's your best time?
The best time is at night, nighttime,
Why do you say that?
because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
I'm a drama teacher, and I'm going to audition each of you for my private class. Bachelor number 1.
You're a dirty old man.
Take it.
Come on, over here.
Oh, honey, we ought to go out and boogie.
Really?
Bachelor number 1. I am serving you for dinner.
Oh,
What are you called, and what do you look like?
I'm called the banana, and I look really good.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
Later, Bachelor 1, later.
Welcome back to The Dating Game. And Cheryl, we have reached the moment of truth, as we call it. You've heard from the bachelors. You got some great dramatic presentations, some good answers. But now, I'm going to ask you a question. Will that date be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3? Who gets the dates?
Well, I like bananas, so I'll take 1.
Number 1, bachelor number 1. All right. Well, there they go. However, you did leave 1 remaining, and this is your date, and I want to tell you something about him, Cheryl. He's a skydiver, so he's got a lot of nerve. He's into motorcycling. He's also a fine photographer. Say hello to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello. Congratulations, Rod. You did it with a 1 answer. Well, as far as I can see, Cheryl and Rodney, it looks like the 2 of you may be involved in some sort of racket. So we're going to have you take to the court. Oh, first, you'll receive tennis lessons from expert Naomi Besa.
Guys, this dating game appeared in 1978, and in 1979, Rodney was on the Huntington Beach, California, when he approached 12-year-old Robin and her friend Brigitte. But soon after, Rodney ran off when a neighbor walked over to see what was going on. When Robin left her friend, to go to the dance class. It was the last time she was seen alive. She never made it to dance class. Her body was found 12 days after she disappeared 40 miles away. Robin's friend was able to give a description of the strange man who had approached them at the beach. The drawing was sent out to police stations. Rodney's parole officer saw it and recognized him, and Rodney was arrested. While he was in jail, Rodney's sister came to visit. Police were listening in on the conversation when Rodney asked his sister to clear out a locker he had in Seattle. The police got there before she did and found a bundle of photos he had taken over the years. The photos were graphic and disturbing. They also found a bag of women earrings. Robin's mother identified one of the pairs of earrings as ones her daughter was wearing on the day she disappeared. Rodney was found guilty of Robin's murder and sentenced to death. But after that, Rodney appealed the conviction and won. Robin went to the trial for the second time and was again convicted of the murder of Robin. He was sentenced to death again, and again he appealed and he won his appeal. It was in 2001, 22 years since he murdered Robin. Robin's family was gearing up for another trial when there was a development in the case. Robin's DNA was a positive match for 4 murders that occurred in the 70s. A judge granted the prosecution's motion to merge all the 5 cases into one trial. Guys, Rodney's third trial began in 2010. This time the prosecution had DNA proof to link him to the victims. They were also able to show a pattern to his killing. The prosecutor said that Rodney played with his victims, almost killing them several times before raping them and finally strangling them. He also posed his victims in disgusting positions, and he kept trophies of his victims. The bag of earrings authorities found in his Seattle locker. And one of the interesting facts of this trial is also that Rodney's first known victim, Tali, also testified at this trial. And finally in 2010, jury convicted Robin of 5 counts of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to death for all the 4 murder cases. And after that, many trials occurred for many other murders until 2016. And guys, this year, on 24th July 2021, Rodney died of natural causes. Guys, what I'm getting from the whole case is the fact that he was able to get onto a game show. And it's a very chilling reminder of how difficult it was to track truly dangerous individuals before criminal records were digitally stored and networked. So guys, while on one hand, computers, technology and internet are proving bad for our young generation, they are also very helpful, because in today's generation, no one can dare to become another Rodney Alcala, because they won't be able to escape. Because whether it's a television show or a job, background checks are done everywhere. So what are your thoughts on this charming dating game killer who is not so charming? Tell me in the comments below. I'll meet you next time with another interesting crime story from around the world. Until then, signing off.